Iran has surrounded Israel with a ring of fire. Hamas terrorists, well-financed, shipping millions of tons of ammunition and weapons across the border of Egypt. Collusion from Egypt. Sinai is the biggest arms depot being used by Iran to use tunnels for approximately 15 years to violate import bans on weapons into Gaza. The West Bank, terror is being funded by Iran and the Palestinian Authority, which has a pay-for-slave program. And that's a good point. We need to make it very clear there can be no agreements or cooperation with the Palestinian Authority on the West Bank unless pay for slay stops. There are hundreds and hundreds of terrorists who died attacking Jews and Israelis on the payroll. Their families are on the payroll for life because they killed Jews. This is not a partner in peace. This is not a authority that can be cooperated with. This is not an entity that can be allowed to govern and demilitarize Gaza. The West Bank, Judea and Samaria, has to be demilitarized as well. If you're going to live with Israel, you have to live in peace. You cannot pay terrorists' families pensions. You cannot reward terrorism. You have to sit there. You have to comply with all laws, and you have to not be armed militarily. If we let you arm militarily, well, October 7th is the latest in the series of results in that. There was a outbreak of warfare in 2018, an outbreak of warfare in 2020, I believe. There was an outbreak of warfare in 2014 and 2016. About every 2 years, Israel went and mowed the grass. But in actuality, what happened is we ceased to be the initiator of conflict. The conflict of October 7th started at a time and place that Hamas and Sinwar, the leader of Hamas now, both militarily and politically, wanted. Lebanon, same thing. We are allowing the enemy to initiate hostilities. Syria, same thing. Iran, same thing. Houthis in Yemen, same thing. That narrative needs to end. Israel had its most successful war against its neighbors when, after building up forces and threatening Israel for many, 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 many weeks, Israel took the initiative on June 5th, 1967. They launched an attack to wipe out first the Egyptian Air Force, then the Jordanian Air Force, then the Syrian Air Force. And at the same time as these attacks began, Israeli forces crossed the border and surprised and destroyed the Egyptian army in the Sinai, the Jordanian army near Jerusalem, and all over the West Bank of the Jordan River. And last day of the war, Israel took out the initiators of the war. This is a very short history of the 67 war. The war actually initiated over attempts from Syria to divert water from the Galilee Sea, which was at the time Israel's only source of fresh water. Only significant source. I'm sure there are small sources. There are wells all over the country. But back on point. That was the most successful war in Israel's history because we struck first when the danger was high. When, as we did in 1973 and 2023 and other areas, we allowed the enemy to strike first. We took heavier casualties. We took equal political and reputational damage. There was really no benefit for waiting. So what I'm advocating is we don't wait. There's going to be a ceasefire probably over the hostages that were taken on October 7th. When we allow the enemy to initiate They take hostages. That paralyzes us. When we initiate hostilities, as we did in several of the Gaza conflicts, and as we failed to do on October 7th, they don't have hostages. It's military against military, and we're prepared. And in general, Israel wins. I'm an American citizen. I'm eligible for president of the United States. I wouldn't want the job, but I'm eligible. It means I'm natural born. You can't take away my citizenship. Oh, a little squeaky there. Squeaky voice. Gotta stop squeaky voice. Did I sound like President Trump there? Okay. Back on topic. Israel has to initiate. We've sat there since 2006 on the northern border, and we've let Hezbollah build up 150,000 missiles, and they think we are afraid of them. The time has come for Israel to make the following statements. We need to make it clear that the goal of the Gaza war is to liberate the Palestinian people, or as Yosef Massoub says, the Arab tribes of the area need to be liberated from the Hamas and the fear that the terror group uses to enforce Islamic law and to terrorize its citizens. We're going to liberate and protect the innocent people. It's a war of liberation to free Palestine, led by Israel. Yes, this needs to be the goal. This is good PR, and if we're going to eliminate terrorism from Gaza, we have to do two things. We have to hold the border with Egypt, not allow any more weapons in, and sorry Republicans, we have to enforce strict gun control all over Gaza. We have to aggressively go after anybody with weapons, search people's houses, especially search the housing that was destroyed and abandoned in the northern part of the country, northern part of Gaza. We need to take away guns. Take away guns, stop the flow of weapons, liberate the Palestinian people, or the Arab tribes, whatever you want to call them. I don't care what you call them. They only support Hamas because they're afraid of them. And they would rather be free, and most of them would rather not have to follow Islamic law. Let's liberate them. If our hostages are indeed lost, then the people that took them and resulted in their deaths need to pay the price. Sinwar's going to go. But if that's on week 1 of a ceasefire, that he shows his ugly face, okay, it's fine. We'll take him out. Plan for Lebanon. We declare a demilitarized zone. The only people allowed to have guns or any weapons south of the Litani River is the United Nations. Constant conflict. Probably have to go in with ground troops. Might be able to avoid that. Anything that is armed, warehouse, person, UNIFIL, needs to get hit. We declare a no-fly zone. We declare a no-walk zone. No military infrastructure allowed south of the Litani River. We can work out a deal for the Lebanese army, which is weak and afraid of Hezbollah, and they can let us know where they are, and we could not hit them. But probably that's not going to work. So, yeah, it's a tough neighborhood. I may sound like a warmonger. I'm not. I don't like getting shot at. I got missiles shot at my sorry tuchus on October 7th, 2023, and that's the last time I want to have that happen. You got a problem with that? You try waking up at 6:30 in the morning to air raid sirens someday. And what's that? Well, that's the air raid sirens. What? Yeah, that was a scary thing. That shook up my life. And that's something we got to avoid. Israel has got to go after the enemy. They've got to initiate hostilities whenever possible because we can't afford to let the enemy set the schedule. They attack when they're ready. We need to attack when they're not. They need to be under the threat of being hit anytime they walk with a gun or try and ship a missile or try and build a missile. They need to be looking over their shoulders, waiting for the missile or the drone to hit them. Agree to what you have to agree with to make the deal to get the hostages back. Stay calm for 6 or 8 weeks, but let no one misunderstand. If you're taking an action against Israel, storing a weapon, building a rocket, carrying a firearm in contravention of the rules we impose, then you are a target and you will be hit. And we will take the initiative and continue taking the initiative. Every single truck that has a missile on it that goes from Damascus to the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon needs to be hit. On a practical basis, the Houthis are too far away in Yemen. There's not a lot we can do about that. It's going to require some American help. But this is a strategy that can win for Israel. This is a strategy that can protect the Jewish people. If you like this content, please press like. If you would like to know when things happen, press notify and or subscribe. Give me some comments and encouragement here. I think I'm putting together some pretty good stuff. What do you think?